Welcome everyone. We will be looking today at the new cards for Origin. Origin has been a long time coming in Axie Infinity. It's been almost a year and a half since we've last heard about it. Today, the Axie Infinity team released the tails of the new cards from Origin. So we're going to be checking that out today. And let's get started. And for the reptiles, let's get this going. We got 6 new cards. First one looks like it's going to be Wall Gecko. Wall Gecko's effect definitely has changed. It has a 1 energy cost card. It says this Axie loses 50 HP, take 30% less damage. It's still keeping to the original lore or the use of Wall Gecko of reducing damage, but it loses 50 HP, so that's a very interesting condition. This red part right here symbolizes that it's an attack card, and right here it says attack, while other cards have a blue little flag which symbolize defense. So this is an attack card. It's a 1 cost card, does 60 damage. So as you could see, the new cards are no longer just attack and defense. They're either attack or defense. So a lot's changing in Battle's Origin. The Wild Gecko definitely got a difference. Oh my gosh. I do not know how this will fare out, but that's an amazing change. Next we have Iguana. Iguana has changed. It no longer has to do anything with energy. So we're seeing here that cards are changing their effects a lot. And this one says apply weak for 4 turns. No longer are you getting the energy that Iguana used to give you. And it's a 70 damage card. So it's really strong actually. Tiny Dino, this one looks so amazing if you were to check it out. Tiny Dino here has the retain ability, and see it retain, and it's an attack card. So 60 damage attack, retain. Retain, from what we understand, means that you're going to be able to hold the card in your hand. So when the deck reshuffles or when you have to send your hand back into the deck, retain means that that card will remain in your hand when you redraw your new hand. So that's pretty cool. This card gains 15 damage per turn, and it has 4 turns where, so basically this card can go up like 30, 40, 60 damage. So it can go up to 120 with 1 energy. And as you see, the damage has been reduced to a lot of these cards. So definitely it's a card for late game to hold on to and to use strategically. Unlike right now where you have to wait a long time before you get it, but you can use it earlier and it keeps gaining damage per turn. Snake Jar right here, target any ally. It's a secret. So this is a new mechanic that we haven't seen in Axie before. It says target an ally. So you target an ally, negate the effect of HP against the target up to 90 HP. That's pretty good. That's pretty good mechanic right there. Oh, sorry. That's a pretty good mechanic right there. We don't know what secret means just yet, but we know that it has, I mean, with other games that we've seen in other card games, secrets could be like Hearthstone secrets where they activate based off of something happening. And this condition, it seems like whenever whenever it loses HP, it activates. So secrets will activate based off on a condition. This could set up a lot of situations. And if you notice, this one doesn't have an attack card. So Snake Jar no longer has an attack card. It just does an effect. So you have to keep that in consideration too, that not all the cards have stats now. Some of them just have effects straight up. But the effects tend to be really strong. Gila has an attack, 40. And this one says attack all enemies, deals 4 bonus damage. Deals 2 bonus damage per poison stack on enemy. So the more stacks you get on your Axies, the more on your opponent's Axies, the more that you're going to do damage to them. Right now, it's a 2 energy cost, so it is going to cost you a lot. But if this keeps increasing in damage, and it attacks everyone, that's a mechanic we haven't seen in the current game right now. In B2, we haven't seen something that can just obliterate everything on the field. So this is going to be definitely a card to look into. Really great synergy with the poison mechanic. And it looks like poison is making its return to Battle's Origin. Grass Snake, it says apply Hex. So Grass Snake, as we know, is a 0 cost card right now, but looks like it's become a 1 cost card, 70 damage. And it apply Hex for 4 turns. We don't know what Hex is yet. I've been trying to figure out. I've asked the Axie team to hopefully give us a list of all these different effects and what the type of card means. Like we have ideas or assumptions, but obviously that could change based off what they say. So right now, this one says apply hex for 4 turns. We'll have to see what hex really is. There's no mechanic right now that's really a hex in the current game. So that's for the reptile cards. Pretty interesting start. Grass Snake definitely had one of the biggest changes, and we're gonna have to see how this all works out. So bug cards definitely have changed as well. Here we have Ant for 1 energy, and it says it's a skill. So it's not a secret, it's a skill. Apply taunt to this Axie for 4 turns. Taunt is a crazy mechanic in itself. It like has so much control. If you've ever looked at Egg Bomb and stuff, Taunt is really what Egg Bomb is. So a card that actually has defense, as you can see, it has a 1 energy defense, as well as a taunt ability. It definitely is gonna, it's such a different card now. It's actually way more useful now with this ability. So we're gonna have to see how powerful taunt really is, but from my understanding of like card games and how taunt works, taunt could be really, really powerful. And we're gonna have to see if it gets nerfed or something, because taunt cards can be so powerful, it just breaks the game sometimes. We're gonna have to see what it does really, or how it plays out. Twin Tail, as you guys can see, now has 1 energy, 35 damage. You can hit twice with it. It keeps very similar to its mechanic right now. So deals 2 damage, just that it's not a 0 cost card. So it deals 2 damage, but it does 70 damage. That's pretty solid for what we've seen in damage right now. So it looks like a really solid card right now. And it won't affect many people, I feel, except for the 0 cost, which is a big difference. Fishneck, as we know, Fishneck was usually good against aquas, but now it looks like it's become a secret. But this secret actually has stats, so that's very, very interesting. Target any ally. Next turn, after this target is attacked, apply weak to the target for 4 turns. So weakness, we're not really sure what weakness is either, but some people have suggested like maybe they become weaker in their attack. Like they're not as strong as attacking when they go into you for 4 turns. So if they hit into your Axie that has this effect, then the next person who happens to hit into it, all their damage might be reduced and stuff, and they won't be able to hurt you as bad. Definitely they changed the mechanic, but very similar like feel of it. It's supposed to be a defensive card that doesn't allow you to get hit as much, but no stun anymore. Gravelant, this is the one talked about a lot. Like people have been talking about Gravelant all over Twitter, and they say this is a secret now. 60 it makes me think that the other card, Iguana, should have also had a defense. But I mean, not Iguana, the other card we saw, Gravelant right here is secret. Target any ally. Next turn, after the target is attacked, apply fear the target for 4 turns. So we all know how fear works in this game. It prevents you from attacking, makes you really scared, and now it looks like it's going to apply 4. So whenever you target whoever has the secret on them, it's going to completely nullify all your damage, because you actually won't be able to attack for those 4 turns. So it's very strategic. It definitely doesn't disable anymore, so it looks like they've removed the disable mechanic, but it's a pretty interesting alternative for sure. Graveland, I think, is still going to continue to be an annoying card that we've always known. So they're keeping to that and to that little like aspect of it. But we're going to have to see, is 4 turns too much? I'm not sure. We're going to have to see it in play to see how effective it really is. 1-star Pupae. Pupae was a damage card in the current game. It looks like it's now moved to a more defensive role. Target any ally. Next turn after this target is damaged, it gains 2 damage boost. Next turn after the target is attacked, it gains 2 damage boost. So it's defensive in nature, like the card has blue defense, but it allows the one that gets attacked to get a boost in damage. So it still has its damage element to it, and you could probably combo this with something that does a lot of damage to increase its damage like by a ton. So we're gonna have to see how this one plays out. Looks pretty good too. Solid card. Thorny Caterpillar. A lot of people in my Twitch and stream have been talking about this card. They say it's 110 damage. There is no card right now that has that much damage, but it has like obviously the condition they didn't see is that it's a two energy cost card, and those 2 energy cost cards are not going to be as like as playable as one cost energy or even zero cost energy. Right now it says it's an attack card. It says deal 50% more damage against debuffed enemies. So I think people are calculating that's around 160 damage, I believe, depending if like weaknesses and class weaknesses still apply. But that's pretty crazy. This mechanic is it's definitely we're gonna depending on how much HP Axies actually have, we're gonna have to see if it's a lot of damage or but it definitely seems like it's gonna be double the damage. But your opponent has to be debuffed. But with things like poison that's gonna come up right now, it might be really easy to use this card. So we're gonna have to see how this works. Definitely for a closer Axie, someone who can finish the game with a lot of damage, this looks really strong too. Let's check out the next one. Birds. So we're looking at the bird class now. So the first one is Swallow. Swallow is one energy, 70 damage. It says if initial, deal 15 more damage. So basically it goes up to 185. Swallow keeps to its like basic roots of being the if you it's the first if you have the fastest card. And this one it's if you use this as your initial card in your play, then it deals 50 more damage. So it's much more easy to play it. Like more Axies have a use for it now. So it's going to be a very good card to use now. Before Swallow depended too much on the speed of the Axie. Now it looks like a lot of the cards have more utility in this version of the game. Feather Fan is the one I didn't understand, but basically it says 2 energy, 35 damage. But it says randomly deal 4 hits. Your team gains 1 feather per hit. So we don't know what feather cards are just yet. I wish they would have given us a little clue about what feather means, but you gain a card. Your team gains a 1 feather card per enemy hit. So you randomly deal 4 hits. I don't know if that exactly means you hit the same target with 4 hits or it randomly splits the damage all around, but this card definitely looks strong. It's a multi-hit attack. We're gonna have to see how it plays out with other combinations. Right now, it looks very interesting, but moving around the damage could be very effective. The last one, this used to be much more stronger, I feel, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they change it. Deal 20 more damage if this is the only card in your hand. So deal 20 more damage. So basically, you have to play your hand in a way where you use this initially, use Swallow initially to do damage, and then you have to make sure that all the other cards in your hand are removed. So then this one gains a bonus damage to 90. So definitely has changed also in its mechanic. Very interesting. So this one needs to have a little bit of strategy how you play it to make sure you only have it in your hand to get the bonus damage. It's going to take a little bit more skill to use it. Cloud, I saw people love this art for Cloud. Like literally, it's a guy riding around in Cloud. Cloud really doesn't have much use right now in the game. Its stats are okay, but you know it hasn't really seen much use at the moment. So it says this attack targets the frontmost non-summoned enemy. This attack targets the frontmost non-summoned. So frontmost non-summon. So I guess it goes around like summons and stuff. That's its main utility. So I believe like they showed like leaks about like there being summons in the game, and I think that the utility of this is not to get stuck hitting a summon with all your energy. It allows you to get around them, and so it's a very unique card. Anti-summon definitely. At least it allows you the utility for that. Next one. This was the one I was asking people about shortly before I started filming. Grandma's Fan, 25 damage, innate. Attack, innate. And it says it's an innate card. So it's the only one we've seen so far with that one. It says innate. Attack all enemies, apply vulnerable for 4 turns. So what someone gave me the idea about, I believe it was someone from the Axie team, it's that innate means that as soon as you draw the card, its effect will trigger. Like that's what they were saying. They compared it to another game. I forget, it was a Spire game. I forget what exactly it was. But basically, as soon as you draw it, it affects triggers. That's a pretty powerful mechanic to automatically release so much damage and stuff. So we're gonna have to see how this works out long term. But that's pretty cool. Again, it has an ability to attack all your enemies and apply vulnerable, and it only costs one energy. So Whatever vulnerable is, we don't know either yet. Like I said, there's so many things to find out. But vulnerable probably means their defense is lowered in some way. Some people were comparing this to like fragile in the game, so maybe vulnerable is like fragile, but for 4 turns. So we're gonna have to see how this plays out. These mechanics that attack all enemies are definitely something we haven't seen right now. Post flight, as you guys know, this used to be a 0 cost card. It used to sacrifice 30% of your HP in order to do a lot of damage. Right now it does 100 damage for 1 energy, and the Axie loses 35 HP. So it's not a percentage anymore. It's a set amount of damage that it does. Seeing that it switched from 30% to 35 HP, I feel the HP of the Axies won't be as high as it was before, but we're gonna have to see how it works. We haven't seen these cards in play, but this is a big change for post flight. I just don't really know why they would change the percentage. Maybe percentage was too much damage now, so they decided to lower it like this. So we're gonna have to see. And also, I feel like it gives them more limited amount of uses for sure. If it's 35 HP straight, they can't just lower their HP every single time. It'll be 35 HP regardless of their HP. So we're gonna have to see this one in play too. Definite change from the previous one, but kind of similar. They're sticking to the same kind of feeling or vibe for the card. It seems like they're trying their best to do that. All right. We've gotten through all the big hitters, the reptile bugs and birds. And now we're here at beasts. So beasts had a lot of interesting cards when I saw them. They made me really excited to see what they do. So beast, the first one, Cottontail. Cottontail, heal any ally, gain 1 energy, and there's a banish mechanic. So basically, banish, from what people are trying to interpret or understand, banish means that once you play this card once, you see it's 0 energy, 25 heal. Once you play it once, it's gone. So you only get 1 shot to use this card. And if it's banish or like Yu-Gi-Oh terms or other kind of games, once you banish something, that card's removed from your deck. So that's the assumption. We could be wrong. I was asking for clarification for this card, but it looks like banished is going to be pretty crazy. The mechanic. And being able, these cards are so good. Banished cards are so good because in a card game, you want to thin out your deck as fast as possible so you can use powerful cards more often. So this card definitely has a good use. There's another card that's even better than this one, I feel. But right now it's a skill and banish. Being able to heal for 0 cost and also gain an energy to do a mega combo that turn is really useful. So I think this is one of my definite favorite cards. The art's amazing. Look at that little lamb. It looks pretty awesome. And like it's holding the moon right there. So here, Rice. People were asking what happens to Energy Steel. What's going to happen to all the Energy Steel cards? This is the first one we get a look at. It has the 1 energy, Rice, an attack card, steal 40 HP. So it doesn't steal energy anymore. And it's a mechanic. Steal is another mechanic we don't know, but it says steal 40 HP. So I'm assuming you take 40 HP from your enemy and give it to yourself or whatever. It says gain 1 energy if this Axie if the Axie's HP is full. So basically you'll gain an energy when you use it. That's pretty cool. Like if you're completely full, you don't need HP to recover, this will give you 1 energy. So this is another way you can gain energy during turns. Very interesting. As you can see, it doesn't have an attack modifier, but the stealing 40 HP is like you're hurting them and stuff. That's pretty, and it makes me wonder, does steal 40 HP means that it goes through armor and stuff? That could be really, really powerful if that's the case. Like you don't care about their armor, you just steal 40 HP out of them instead of like even damaging their armor. So that could be a very strong mechanic depending on how they use it. 2 energy, 130. Shiba. So Shiba hasn't really had much love in the current game. People have tried to use it. It's very solid for its stats right now in B2, but 2 energy, 130. It has a very different mechanic here. Your team gains 3 rage if this Axie HP is below 50%. So as a lot of you guys have heard, rage is a new mechanic to the game that's related to critical strikes. It looks like rage is, the more rage you have, if there's a meter, you'll probably be able to hit a crit or some sort. So right now, rage, we don't know exactly, but that's just the assumption. Like rage is some kind of meter. So there might be a threshold of rage you have to hit before you actually can do a crit or something. But right now it says you gain 3 rage if this actually is below 50%. So not only do you get to do 130 damage, which is really, really strong, you also get to do it, you also get to give people rage. So this card has a lot of utility. It's a very expensive card, so we're obviously the effect is very powerful. I think this one's going to be really good. I really want to see what the rage kind of decks, how they work, and we're going to have to see all that when we get to play. This is one of the favorite cards that I saw in this mechanic. It's hair or hare. I call it hare, but basically 1 energy, 70 damage. Hair says if initial, draw 1 card. So similar mechanic. Initial, I believe, means when you start or you use it as the first card in the round, you draw 1 card. Hair now, because like similar to the other card Swallow, you don't need to be the fastest one anymore. So its utility definitely goes up. So if you use this card first, you draw 1 card. That is so strong. I honestly feel like if you have a lot of 0 cost cards in your deck or like banish cards and you are able to draw them out faster, it could be something crazy. So hair definitely strong. I honestly love this card even right now. I think I'm going to continue to really use it in the next version. The damage isn't insane, but it's very solid. But having the ability to draw a card is always powerful in a card game. Next one, and we see Nutcracker. So there's been a lot of speculation about Nutcracker. Like people have been wondering, do Nutcrackers stack? Do Nutcrackers increase damage? We got our answer here for the first time. The Nutcracker Tail, 60 damage, 1 energy. It's an attack card, obviously. All Nutcrackers of this Axie gain 6 damage this battle. So basically, what this, I mean, we were even discussing this earlier, is like every single time you play a Nutcracker card, you will gain 6 damage for all the other Nutcracker cards in the game. So basically, the more Nutcracker cards you play, the higher the damage this could go. And I don't know if there's a cap and limit in damage, but as you guys know, there's 3 different Nutcracker parts in the game. And if each one of them you can draw 1 card, a Nutcracker card from them, it could be pretty interesting for the game. The damage could be insane that we see. Honestly, this is one of the cards that I would really like to play or make a deck with, but obviously it all depends. Just because you have 3 Nutcrackers doesn't mean you have the best utility for it, but right now it's looking very solid. Nutcracker, its ability to stack up damage could really raise this up and give you a lot of value per card. I honestly think Nutcracker is probably one of the best cards right now that I've seen, and right now its ability to just, all you need is draw power. So all you need is cards that allow you to draw to be able to see this card come out more and more. Definitely more of a late game builder. It won't be the strongest early game, but just give it a little time and it's gonna definitely make you pay if you don't kill that Axie. Gerbil, as you guys know, it does targeting in the current game. So right now it's 70 damage if initial. So it has to be the first card that you use. If initial, this card targets the second most frontmost enemy. So it skips the first enemy and goes to the second one. So Gerbil, again, very similar mechanic to what it has. So right now it skips the first axis. So this is the same mechanic. It says enemy, so maybe if you summon it, you can mess around with Gerbil's mechanic. Hopefully not, because Gerbil hasn't had much love. But right now it says it targets the second frontmost enemy. So right now it looks like Gerbil might be stopped by summons, but if there's a summoned in front of someone else, we'll have to see. But right now that's the mechanic. Pretty interesting mechanic for sure. Definitely we'll have to check this out. 70 damage beast tail. It definitely has more damage than it ever did in the current game, so I'm pretty excited to see this card being used. Let's check out the next one. Next one we have Aquatic Cards, of course. Aqua has always been the most powerful class, and so it's very interesting for me to check out these cards specifically. Let's check out Aquatic. It says Koi. Koi is like right now, I believe Kurokoi. Yeah, Koi is like basically the tail, and in the current game, it allows you to speed up. So a lot of people were asking, what happens to all the speed cards? So it looks like a lot of the speed cards are getting reworked. So right now, Koi is not doing what it usually does. It says it's a 2 energy card, 120 damage, deal 15 bonus damage per aquatic ally. So it depends a lot on how many allies. You're gonna have to play triple aqua teams. But does aquatic ally also mean summons? Like, you know that there's like a little shell one. So I was wondering that when I read this card. Does it mean that the little aquatic ally, it could be a summon? If it is, you can get a lot of damage per one, but it requires so much stuff, playing 3 aquas. It's maybe getting a summoning an aqua friendly critter, but it's 122 damage right now. We're gonna have to see how much damage this can get to actually at a full amount. So we're gonna have to see. It definitely has changed a lot. This is the core card. The next card I'm gonna talk about, Nemo, right here. 0 energy Nemo. It's a skill banish card similar to Cottontail, except it gives, instead of healing, it gives you the ability to draw 1 card and gain 1 energy, and then you banish the card. If we're right about the mechanics of what it looks like, Nemo is so strong. Right now, in our regular game, it requires a combo. But in this game, it says draw 1 card, gain an energy. Any single time I've seen this kind of mechanic in different card games, it's one of the top tier cards, and it's powerful because it has banish too, so it thins out your deck. It allows you to draw back. So if you have an Axie with Nemo in it and you have Nutcrackers, you keep drawing cards, and gaining energy. So right now, it's looking pretty interesting for this card. Definitely top tier card, I feel. Unless it gets nerfed, like I said, they said in the announcement, any of these cards can get nerfed. Any of these cards can be changed before they release. And so, but right now, it looks, if I were playing, I would try to get this card in my deck somehow. Maybe one of my Axies will have Nemo. For sure, just to try it out. It looks pretty strong, and the art looks way, way more amazing now. Next one we have is 1 energy 65 Tadpole. Tadpole hasn't seen much use in the current game, but right now it says an attack card, shuffle 1 Jinx into your opponent's discard pile. So you're basically adding a Jinx. We don't know what Jinx is, but it doesn't sound like it's a good card. The word Jinx is usually like a curse, something negative. So we're going to be adding a Jinx to it and to their discard pile, to the opponent's discard pile. So eventually they're going to draw this Jinx. I don't know what the effect is, but it could be really bad. So you don't, like, this card, every single time you play Jinx throughout your game, you're going to keep adding more of these cards to it. Every single time you add play Tadpole, you're going to add more Jinx. So we're going to have to see what happens in that mechanic. Very interesting change to it. And as you can see, he's drawing up black bubbles up here. Next one is Ranchu. It says it's a 2 energy card, 50 damage. It says attack all enemies, apply weak for 2 turns. So it attacks all the enemies and then applies weakness for 2 turns. Weakness means, probably weakness, we were talking about lowering your armor or lowering your attack, I mean. So we're gonna have to see what happens to this one. It's another one of those cards that attacks everyone. Pretty interesting how this is gonna play out. With so many of them, which one will we use? It's gonna be pretty interesting. But yeah, very exciting. All attack. Maybe you can make a team full of all attacking combos and stuff. We'll have to see. Next one, 1 energy, 70 damage, Navaga. And it says attack. If initial, deals 15 more damage. This was very similar to Swallow. It was the Aqua equivalent. So it's very nice to see this card have almost exactly the same effect. And so very similar mechanic. Use it first in your hand, and you'll get these effects. You'll get more damage. So it'll be an 85 damage card. I almost said $1. The next one, Shrimp. Everyone's been wondering what's going to happen to backdoor and targeting. We saw a little glimpse of it right now, but here's another one. 1 energy, 70 damage, Shrimp. Attack. If initial, this attack targets the furthest enemy. So it has to be played first, and you can attack the furthermost enemy. So it doesn't specify Axie, but it says enemy. So we're going to have to see what happens. Like, you can definitely, it makes me wonder if like your allies that you summon can also be considered an enemy. So we're gonna have to see how it works. But similar to right now, it's a backdooring card. It doesn't have defense anymore. It's just purely damage. 70 damage is a lot. So we're gonna have to see. It seems like the average seems to be like around 70 damage for a 1 energy cost. So it's here. Shrimp is here. So we're gonna have to see Shrimpinator's return in some way. So yeah, you're gonna have to see what happens with all of these cards. It's gonna be really insane. The last class we're gonna be talking about tonight is the plant class. Of course, plant like staple tank to the current meta. So we're gonna see what they did with them. So first card up, 1 energy, 60 energy card, Carrot, attack. Gain 1 energy if the attack causes HP loss to the target. So if you actually hurt the opponent's HP, like not just hurt their armor, if you hurt their HP, you'll get 1 energy. So that's pretty good utility right there. Difference from being attacked, you now get to attack. So it's a 60 energy damage, 60 damage card. So very different from what it was before. It's going to be more useful now. You can actually utilize it more effectively, and it'll give you 1 energy that same turn. So that's pretty cool. Like gaining energy in a turn is really hard right now. So any cards that give you energy for that turn are really useful, I feel. Cattell right now is very popular in the meta. It used to be a 0 cost card, but now it's a 50 damage card. Cattell says, apply taunt to the Axie for 4 turns. So another card that does taunt, like similar to Ant. We're going to have to see what happens. Ant was a defensive card. This one is offensive, so it has 50 damage, and it has the same taunt effect. So this one reminds me a little bit more of Bombshell. Bombshell has damage instead of armor, but we're going to have to see. I believe taunt is very, very strong. So as soon as you play the taunt card, your opponents will have to target it and try to kill it before they do anything else. I always say these taunt cards are very, very crazy. You don't, and because you get to attack, so you'll probably play taunt, attack them with damage. So you'll probably be using this with an Axie from behind or the front. It doesn't matter, but you can attack them, and then everyone's forced to attack it. So you can get a lot of value. It doesn't have to be always a tank using it. It looks like the mechanics definitely allow you to do something different. Right now, the only way to really play taunt is through Eggshell, and Eggshell is only a bird card. And in order to use it effectively, you need to be fast. So taunt, I feel, is going to be really strong. We haven't seen it used yet, but just my opinion right here on that one. Next one, Hatsune, 60 defense. Similar to Gravelant, we were wondering like what's going to happen to Gravelant, what's going to happen to Hatsune, the leak. So right here, the imagery was very interesting. People were wondering, what does the imagery mean? It looks like this guy is someone's crying for sure here, and I think their parent is destroying a leak or cutting it up. So they're sad. Maybe the leak is their brother. Maybe it's like a Jiho leak that we can't see and stuff. So that's pretty interesting, the art of this one. Target any ally. It's a secret, 60 defense. Target any ally. Next turn after the target is attacked, apply fear to the target for 4 turns. There's exactly the same effect as Gravelant. So it's a secret. So we're going to have to see how this works out. Definitely, I love that they're not going with disables. The disable mechanic was so horrible in this game. I love that they're switching this up and actually making it just fear. So there's more way to play around it, really. But the armor is solid. Like I said, we're going to have to see how Hatsune plays out. And so this is the one of the few last cards that I'm going to talk about, Yam. And I posted this on my Twitter because I thought it was insane. Yam has been nerfed, has been buffed. Everything has happened to Yam throughout its history, but now it's a 0 cost card, 5 damage, and it says attack and apply 2 poison to all enemies. So imagine 0 cost card using Yam over and over to get damage. That's going to be a very interesting mechanic for sure. 5 energy, 5 attack. It's going to be, the attack doesn't matter, but the 2 poisons, you can, if you keep drawing this card somehow over and over and over and using it, your opponents could be filled up with poison. This is my first sign of the poison meta being a part of this game again. So if you're interested in Yam, Yam used to be one of my favorite cards too. So it holds one of a very special place in my card, and I've seen it utilized even right now in V2 effectively. So Yam is making a comeback. Poison teams are going to be back, so we're going to have to be seeing how to counter them now. We're going to have to see what the counter for Yam is going forward. This one's definitely has a different take to it. Potato Leaf says 1 energy, 70 damage. Gain stealth if there's at least 1 living ally. So it's not dependent on defending against Aqua Cards. It right now is just basically whatever this mechanic stealth means. It means, from just my understanding, it means that you can't target that Axie. You can't attack that Axie if there's another living Axie. So if you play this, it'll gain stealth. That means they'll only be able to target the Axie behind you. So definitely it's more useful in this game. And it's no longer a tanky card, it's purely damage. So I love that they're making, like, especially for these cards that people rarely use, I love that they're making changes so it gives them some new vibe, some new utility, some new use, so we can actually see it like play out. So the following up, the last card we're going to review, 1 energy, Hot Butt. It doesn't say it's a skill card, so skill cards don't tend to have stats. So this says, or some of them do, but they don't tend to. Skill, Hot Butt. Looks like someone's sneaky. If you notice the art right here, this person's like playing around, and this person is doing something malicious. The strawberry person, I don't know who this is adding a spiciness to the sandwich that they're making them, probably. So Spicy Surprises, you guys remember, was the name of the card. So it says shuffle 3 burns into your opponent's discard piles. That's going to be very interesting to see. We don't know what burn means, but burn, when you draw it, because it goes to the discard pile, and I'm assuming you basically draw it eventually. Like when you shuffle back into your hand, you're going to draw some burn cards later on, and that could cause some really bad problems for you. So we're going to have to see what this burn mechanic is. It has to be pretty strong, though, whatever burn is, because it has no damage, but you're using 1 energy. It has no defense, so we're going to have to see what happens with the burns when you draw them. It's going to be very, very interesting for sure. Very, very interesting card. Definitely changed from being a stat card with Hot Butt to, and Hot Butt is no longer a disable, like we notice right now. It's no longer a disable card. It has a completely new effect, and I love that. I love the removal of disable in this game. I thought it was a very limiting mechanic, and we're moving on to different things. So anyways, guys, that was the cards. Hopefully you enjoyed the review of the different cards we've seen for the Tails. Honestly, there's so much to uncover still from these cards, mechanics, skills, what they mean, what the effects means. But ultimately, I'm just excited for the future of Axie Infinity. I think we have a lot to go with this, and it looks like this game is probably going to be launched by the end of March, and that's really exciting for us. Being able to play this game will definitely move us to a completely different direction, and I'm really excited for that. Axie Infinity has always been a pioneer in releasing like their game, and it's been a few years. Like, if you guys noticed, the original game was designed a long time ago with a few developers. Now they have a full team, and this game, the art and everything just looks so amazing. So anyways, guys, I'm looking forward to the next leak, and hopefully you guys can join me. Please like and subscribe the video. I really would appreciate it. Thank you all. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.